Welcome aboard the Finding Joy at Sea podcast. This podcast is for anyone who loves to hear the stories behind the stories of life at sea. Whether you work in the industry, love cruising, or are thinking about a new career, you're in the right place. I am your host, Laura Fraser, a 20-plus year cruise industry veteran and the author of the Joy at Sea series of children's books. I love sharing the joy of the journey. So, anchors away. It's time to set sail. Welcome back to the Finding Joy at Sea podcast, episode 2. Here we are. It is so incredible to be joined today by my business partner, my friend, the ever-talented illustrator, Alexandra Jankovic. I'm going to call her Anna from now on. Did I say that okay?
Almost. It's Jankovic. Hi, Laura. Thank you for the introduction, but we will get after a few years in
Yes.
introduction.
I'm working on my Serbian accent, but it's... Thank you for joining me today. I am so excited to interview you, to have the listeners get to know the beautiful human behind our brand illustrations, our brand iconography, our fonts, our colors, everything design. You are endlessly talented, and I'm just so thankful that you're here.
Thank you so much, Laura.
So, we didn't know each other more than about a year and a half. We've known each other now. And it's one of those amazing stories about life and ships and travel and how you find people that, will either be in your life for a season or for your whole life or come and go. And, I knew pretty quickly that you and I were going to build something incredible together. And so I'd love to kick it over to you to kind of share, what made you aware of your opportunity to go work on ships, what this even is. And I think that will help the listeners see how that led you to me and this amazing project.
How it all started. I've met my fiance at the time, my friend. We were working together and he shared a lot of stories about the cruise ships. And also on one road trip when we were already boyfriend and girlfriend, I personally met a lot of his friends that had different perspectives, actually different roles on a cruise ships.
Cool.
Which led me to think about me working on a ship. I mean,
Yes.
Including with all of his stories that I already knew before. Then when I met someone who was a manager housekeeping, then I met some other friend who was doing totally, he was a waiter, so totally different perspective. And all of those perspectives were kind of also taught me that you have like in the life, different perspective of doing something. Yes. And experiencing the same things, but in a different way. So I definitely wanted to be part of it. And also when they started throwing a lot of cities that I never imagined that I could be, actually in that place, 100%. I was like, I need to join this, adventure, this journey that the cruise ship actually gave me the opportunity to be at. So that's all in short how it all started.
Oh, that's amazing. And again, it's like one person, right? Like you met your fiance and he opened your eyes to this other life he had had before you guys met. And the version of him that you met was also so much molded by what he had done to go work on ships and build a professional career on ships and the people that he had met and the experiences that he had had. So not only did you meet the love of your life, but you met the love of your life as a version of somebody who had traveled and done and built, amazing things in his professional career. So I think that that's really cool. And I think it's amazing how you said too, you met people from all different jobs on board and how they were having the same experience, but having different perspectives, even in that experience. And that's so true. You could be living side by side with somebody and from the outside, it looks like you're both doing the same thing. You're both working on cruise ships. You're both working at a restaurant. You're both whatever it is, but you're having completely different experiences. And I think life, continues to feed us what we need in each experience. So I think that's really cool. That's awesome. So you met, you talked to a lot of people, you thought this sounds amazing. And then what happened? What was your next step and where did that lead you?
Basically, what happened is that in order for me to start working on a cruise ship, we had to do a few interviews first. At the time, of course, because both of us, we love traveling, we were at the time in Greece having our vacation. But all of a sudden, we got an email that we have to record ourselves and to do like a presentation of ourselves and post it on YouTube, which was the first time I was doing that. And it was like really fun, but difficult experience, I would say. All of that hard time, like even though we were on a vacation, I got my one suit, for example, like one jacket that I could actually put it on. I had to put my trousers on, but yeah, that also made it like, the full story of it. But all of that hard work paid off, and both of us happened to be invited on one of the biggest conferences, the biggest conferences that I've ever been in Mexico, that where I actually met you.
Yes.
So that's the time. Yeah, like even before the ships, I wanted to say I was doing art for my whole life, but I never actually made any kind of like a huge project out of it. So what I was doing during my whole career was doing art all the time. During high school, during university, I'm like, yeah, I'm listening, but I'm drawing on my paper. Yes. Also during like working before, I used to do that. Even my manager at the time in one of the companies, he told me that I'm forbidden to draw because I'm not focused for work as much. So I was like, okay, there is a lot of passion in me, like when it comes to art. So I knew that art should give me the right way. Where should I go? I just need to follow my passion. So that's exactly what I did. So even in Mexico, where we met, we happened to meet just because at the time I was talking about art all the time to everyone. Even though I was like in totally different place, I was supposed to do sales and do something totally different, which doesn't have anything with art. Like in my heart, the art was screaming. So I had to mention on one of the trainings where we had a chance to talk about ourselves. It was actually an elevator pitch, right?
Yes.
So I had the opportunity to present who I am, where I'm coming from, and all of that. And in short, even though it was like 2-minute talk, I mentioned my hobby is art. So that was one of that is actually the reason why we met and why we actually had the conversation later on. Yeah, which I'm really proud and grateful for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so amazing, because again, in those types of professional settings, one, we're nervous to present. I don't care who you are, how good a presenter you are. You're always nervous to present in front of your superiors, and sometimes we like to hide behind like the corporate terms we think of the person we should be. And while your elevator pitch was amazing and incredible and truly who you are, the fact that you mentioned art, you took a risk in that, because that's not, they didn't hire an artist, right? They hired a salesperson. And so, but when you said that, bells went off in my brain, because I was wondering where I was going to find somebody to bring joy to life, to illustrate joy, again, trusting the process, trusting that like this beautiful story was given to me that I wanted to share with the world. But how, where do you just find someone online? But I wanted like the illustrations to be very authentic, because I worked on board and because you worked on board, like we are coming at this project from an authenticity, not just, oh, ships. Okay, those are cool. No, we like deeply love and understand and appreciate them. And so when you said that, I was like, I think this is it. I don't know if she's going to want to do this. I don't know if she's going to think I'm crazy, but like, I have to have this conversation. And I'll never forget. It just felt so natural. And so, I was just so excited. So
I was literally praying for that moment. Like, even before the ships, I'm like, I knew like what I knew that I will experience a lot of things, that I will meet a lot of great people, and that there is a little opportunity, tiny opportunity, that I can meet someone who needs me as an illustrator. And at the time when you asked me, if you remember, we were having breakfast.
Yes.
And you knew my fiance, actually.
Yes. And yes, that's important to mention too. Yes.
So at the time we were having breakfast, Serjan and I, and then you asked us, because it was all busy around, you asked us if you can join us. So we were like, yeah, sure. In my thoughts, it was like, she's probably joining us because she knows Serjan, from before.
Yes.
It was actually because of me. That's like so, so funny. I would never thought of that because I didn't know that you were the otter at the time, and everything.
Yes.
But I will never forget that omelet that we ate together.
That changed
And the
both of our
time when
lives.
yes, the time when you asked me if I want to be an illustrator for your children's book. Yeah, so I literally wanted to cry at the time. My tear was dropping, and I was
Oh.
like just pretending that I'm like just fine with it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's one of the core memories, I would
For
say. Yeah.
sure. And I
Enjoy,
think,
yeah.
and I went into that conversation um excited that I had found what I thought I had found, which is true. But also nervous, right? I mean, you were
Yeah.
going to go work on ships. I didn't want to ever take away any of your time that you needed professionally to do your job well.
Yes.
That was very important to me because at the time we were both working for the same company, and I never wanted it to be perceived like, oh, well, Laura poached her and took her time and,
Yeah.
brought her in on this project. And so, I knew that working with you, if you decided to work with me, that it would be, in your free time or maybe not at all, even on that contract, because I know what it's like to work on ships. And I never wanted to feel like I was rushing this project either, right? It's a passion project. It's a joyous project. And so, even on that first contract, you went out on ships, you still got to go enjoy ports, see things, do a really good job at work, and kind of start dreaming, right? Because I had sent you the story, kind of start dreaming of what these characters will look like. How would I lay out this page while you were doing other things? And I think that was also really important too, that you had the time to learn ships, to learn your job, to learn kind of what makes them tick. So is that kind of what was happening at the time for you?
Yeah, definitely. I do appreciate that a lot because you already had experience, so you knew more than me actually what I'm getting into because it was like
Yes.
my cruise ever. So yeah, this time that we're spending on the ships, like it's happening, everything is happening so fast, as you already know. The days are passing like minutes, and like you don't have much free time,
No.
even though you think you have. Like it happens to just goes like this. So yeah, in reality, I thought like in my imagination, I thought I'm gonna finish the whole book during the ship.
Right.
I mean, during the cruise ship time, but of course that didn't happen. I think I did maybe 2 pages, like all
Yes.
in total. But I did a lot of sketches, and I was in a really creative mind in a way that every day I was experiencing something new. Every day
Mhm.
I was seeing something new when it comes to the cruise ships and also the different cultures. At all different locations where where I was walking around and everything. So that creative mind, whenever I sit and grab my iPad, and I start drawing, or my pen and paper, at that time I really had inspiration to draw.
Yes.
Where if there will be like a different situation, maybe when I was living at home and just drawing, maybe I wouldn't be as much, as inspired as I was on the ships and actually experiencing the whole cruise ship life. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, well, I'll never forget, because we've been on different time zones almost all of the time by a lot, like now I think we're like 8 hours apart. And then when you were on the ship and you were doing, really exotic itineraries, sometimes you were even further apart in time zone. And I'll never forget the one night I rolled over in bed and I checked my phone at like 3 a.m. And I remember seeing a message from you and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder, what's going on. And I click on, and I just see the preview of the message, are you ready to meet Joy? And my heart stopped because I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this an illustration? It had been several months and I was like, is it time? Is she gonna, is it time to see her? And I opened that picture and seeing her smiling cruise ship face at me, I was just like blown away that you had captured, what I had kind of seen in my mind. And I am a creative. I am an artist of different things, but definitely not drawing, definitely not painting.
We know that.
It's a family joke actually. When we're working on a project and if I'm wanting to do like some design work on the house or something, I'll say, oh, do you want me to do a sketch? And it's like this running joke because like I'll try to do dimensional sketches and it's in my mind, I can see it, and my hands definitely can't do it. So I am always in awe of people.
So you have me. Don't worry about that.
Exactly. So to know that I had joy in my mind that at this point for like over a year, from when I was inspired to write the story to when I met you, got you the story, and then got joy, like an actual physical picture of her. It was such, and it's a joyous moment. It's the only way to describe it. Our favorite word here. And I was just so beyond thankful. So, it was really, really cool. Well, I'm going to ask you some more questions that I like to ask my guests, and feel free to drop some wisdom on us here. So, one of the things about working on cruise ships for a lot of us is, getting to go to see these amazing destinations, like you had said. So, describe for me. And it can either be a specific port or it can be an imaginary port, but your perfect port day. Like, what would that look like for you?
Okay. So in general, I would first say like the perfect port would include good food for a start, good friendship. So a few good friends that you've met on board, which are like a family to you. So family with you. And I would say a good walk and exploring new destinations. That's what actually drove me like the whole cruise ship. Like I couldn't wait, to go out and to explore new places, to explore new food, new cultures, and all of that. And I was like really happy. I mean, really lucky to actually explore so much in the first contract, because I've seen so many different places. Like I will just say it in short because it'll be a long list to mention all of the places where I've been. But we've started from Miami, then we went through the Panama Canal. After Panama Canal, we went to LA. Then we went through the whole Pacific. So French Polynesia, Bora Bora, all the islands over there, which was like a dream. Then we were headed to New Zealand. So the whole New Zealand, camping, nature, amazing. Then Australia, east side of Australia, and then Philippines, South Korea. And in almost the end, it was Japan for a month. And after Japan, it was Alaska. So that was the whole circle of my journey, which is like almost half of the world for like 7 months, which is, like it's incredible. I couldn't imagine. Yeah, it's like something that I didn't know that is, impossible at the time. You really have to live it in order to see. But yes, the back to your question, when it comes to the perfect port, I would say perfect port was Melbourne for me.
Okay.
So that's my favorite port. Every time when we come to Melbourne, it was like, I don't know, it felt like a dream. Of course, it's one of the ports that are my favorites, but if I have to choose only one, it would be Melbourne.
Very cool.
So for Melbourne, I remember one day I was with Serjan and our friend Juan, which is a Mexican friend. He actually ended up to be in the book as well. So that's a fun fact about it. But I remember that day we got some sushi, we got some ramen, we enjoyed the parks in Melbourne, which are like amazing. I loved also about Melbourne that they have like huge buildings, like modern buildings, but they're all combined with like a huge parks. So whoever works in that building, can just open the window and see nature, or, you want to grab a coffee or lunch break. So you're already in nature as soon as you're, down. So that's one of the best ports, I would say, in short. Yeah.
I love that. I've actually never been to Melbourne. So I've only been to Sydney in Australia. And I think that it's definitely somewhere, we would love to go and spend quite a bit of time just exploring. So awesome suggestions. Awesome.
It's huge city, a lot of things to explore. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love how you spoke about Juan, your friend, because again, like before you joined the ship, you didn't even know this person and you made it a really good friendship. And then he turns out to be in two of the illustrations in the in the book Joy at Sea, our first book, and he's a very talented musician
yeah.
is the word. That's hard to get out this morning.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Well, so I know you joined ships, you first worked on board. So tell us about your first position that you had. And then we know a little bit about what you're doing now with illustration. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did first?
So the first thing that I started doing on the ship was working as a shopping consultant, meaning that I was selling everything in the shop. So whatever you can imagine, like in the tax-free shops, like that was me. Okay. So I was selling perfumes, clothes, luxury brands, luxury watches, luxury bags. In order to do all of that, I had to learn a lot of things. So especially for luxury brands, I mean, you cannot just sell a luxury bag and not know the whole story behind it. So it was really interesting. Every single day I had my notebook with me. I had 2 notebooks. So one was for drawing. That was a good time when it's quiet. But the main one was for learning all the items that I had on board. And now I'm working offshore. So I'm still going on a cruise ship. So I'm still having that joy every time when I go on a cruise ship, but now it's a bit different. I just go for a few days. And to be honest with you, like every time I go, I experience it all over again. And it's amazing experience that I think whenever we stop with it, like we still have that drive that we can't wait to go on the ships. Even you, I mean, you were recently on the
100%.
ship. Like just for a vacation, not like to work. So I think it's, amazing experience that everybody should go through at least for a vacation, if not also as a crew, because it's something that is changing our life like 360 degrees, so.
Yes. Yeah. I think that they say, like, once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get it out. And yeah, whether I've gone on board professionally or personally for vacation, like it's that same energy, right? It's that same feeling of like, oh, we're going to set sail and seeing the open waters and hearing the waves crashing on the hull. And it just like really brings you back every time. And I still love it. Can't get over it. That first love, can't get over it. Okay. So, one of the things working on board, though, we work with so many different people, so many different cultures. And so the question I like to ask is, what is something that surprised you about either your own culture that was really like illuminated when you got on board? Maybe something that you've, seemed very like everyday normal to you. And when you got on board, it wasn't so normal, or something about another culture that surprised you.
So I would say Japan is the answer.
Okay.
So definitely, I mean, all different countries, every country has their own culture, but when it comes to Japan, that was like the biggest cultural shock, I would say, for me, because they're living totally different life, like from any other. So the thing that was, I would say, for me, the biggest shock is the greetings from Japanese people. So in general, what we do, we say hi, or, give our hands or whatever, like all different countries. But over there, like they're putting their hand on the heart and literally doing this. So much respect.
Yes.
And that is beautiful. Like doing every single person, wherever you go, like you go in the supermarket, they're saying hi like this, konnichiwa, and they're smiling and they're so polite and so quiet, so present in the moment. So I think that's a huge thing that I wanted to talk with you about, because that greeting, like when somebody put a hand on the heart and, does this, it's literally putting ego on a side. So after that, I think like people are so much open, and I don't think that they can easily get in a fight or anything after that, because when somebody is giving you so much respect, you are also doing the same for it. So fun story that happened when I went to Japan. One of my friends on the ship actually had a friend in Japan, and she is from Philippines. So what happens is that she's living in Japan for like, at the time, I think 2 years. And once we met, so she's not from Japan, she shouldn't be, putting her hand on heart and doing this. And I was like, why is she doing that to me? She knows that I'm not from this place,
Yes.
that we are not, in this culture. And then funny thing is that after 3 days in Japan, I literally started doing the same. I was like, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. So the whole experience literally transformed me after the 3 days. And I can imagine what it could have done to my life after spending 2 years over there. So of course it became, her routine and her way of, respecting everybody around, which
becomes so automatic. Yes.
Yeah. It becomes automatic, and it helps. Yeah, I think so much in the relationships, in general, and respecting each other. So I think that was like, the biggest the cultural shock that I've experienced.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, I remember having the same kind of realization when I did a season in Asia and in Japan, and just the total respect and the caring nature was something, I loved. I have a funny story though about working in the gift shops when we were in Japan, and we had some Japanese guests on board, and they came into the shop I was working in, and konnichiwa, konnichiwa. When you're in a new area of the world and you have a certain percentage of guests maybe from that region, you kind of try to learn a couple of phrases like, hello, thank you, all that kind of thing. And so I was showing this guest like a necklace from the jewelry store, and I was like, this is, not like just kind of showing the price tag and trying to communicate as best we could. And they said, hi. And I was like, hi, being this like bubbly Southern Californian, hi. And they're like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And like, we went back and forth like 6 times until finally, like, they like handed it to me and like showed me their CPass card. And they were like, hi. And then I realized, okay, that means yes. Like, yes, I want this thing. And here I am just sitting, hi. It was such a funny moment. I'll never forget it. But yes, I totally agree. I loved Japan. I loved the culture. When we were there, we had an overnight in Tokyo. I remember the one time. And so we wanted to go to Tokyo Disney to like check a Disney off of the list. And we were really lost in the subway, metro. I don't remember what they specifically call it in Tokyo, but metro station. And so we asked a businessman who was obviously like in a rush trying to get to work, like how to get to Disneyland. And he physically walked us like far and like showed us the train and like watched us get on the right train. And that stuck out to me as well. Like just that caring nature of like, these are guests in our country and we want to, help them have a great experience. Just that maybe 5 minutes of kindness from this gentleman, I remember 23 years later, so I think that's a good lesson though for all of us, right? When we have people coming to, maybe they're not even from outside of our country, but they're in our town and they need help or they don't know where to go, or just taking that little bit of time to help people along the way literally can become a lifelong memory. Yeah. So awesome. I'm glad.
I also remember when it comes to Japan, that was also the shock for me that not a lot of people speaks English, actually.
Yes.
Wherever you go, people speak English. But in Japan, I had difficulties to like connect with the Japanese people because rarely you can find someone, to speak with. They're just speaking, Japanese and that's it. So that was also the shock for me. And also, now that you mentioned help on the street and all of that, I remember that whenever I took a like coffee to go or something, I didn't have anywhere to put it in like later on because they don't have any trash bins. Like they don't have any bins on the streets, which was like, what are they doing with the bins? So what I've realized later on is that everybody is having like the small backpacks carrying with them. And they have the small bag, connected on their bags, and they're putting all the trash into that bag. So they're collecting their trash during the whole day. And then once they come home, they're separating and, putting it into their houses, not on the streets. Which was like, I remember the day when we arrived to Alaska and when we saw a bin, and we were like, we need to put some trash into this bin. We were so happy after a month of carrying
your trash.
Yes, we had, an experience to put the trash into the bin, which was like, like so many things
Yes.
like we experience on the ship, and that reminds us of how happy we are, that we have certain things when we
Yes.
don't have them. So, yeah.
100%. Yeah. What again, like what is normal, it depends on where you are in the world. And I remember that too about Japan, how clean it was. I mean, riding on the subway, like you could very easily sit on the floor. I mean, you wouldn't. That would, I think, maybe be weird, but you could. It was so unbelievably clean. And I think that comes back to, yeah, that respect piece, like you said, it's like respect for everything. And very cool, very cool. So one of the questions I like to ask all my guests too, because we are Joy at Sea and finding joy at sea. And, I think, like I've said before, sometimes you actually have to go out and find joy. Joy doesn't always just come to you. You have to go out and like seek it out. So what is one of the ways that you were able to find joy at sea?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways, to find joy at sea. Just look out of your window and
Yes.
it's there. The sea is everywhere. So like only that was like, the moments that I was appreciating every single day and that I still like, miss when I'm home. But definitely one of the experiences that brought me a lot of joy is when I finished the whole contract. I went back to land, continue with my passion with art and marketing. So at the time, Serjan and I, we were also working for the company, the same company. So we used to go as well for the 7 days on the ships. On one of the times, we actually went to Juneau, to Alaska, which I thought at the time when we finished our contract, I would never ever have the experience again to go to Alaska. But there is me after 2 months
Yes.
again being in Alaska. So what happened there is that one day when we woke up actually at 5 a.m. because of the time difference, and we were like ready to go. It was like 10 a.m. Back home or something. So we were like, let's go. Let's enjoy, the place and everything. But because it was too early and it was night, we decided to stay, in a hotel for a while. So we prepared our coffee and everything, enjoy, and then Serjan wanted to sing me a song, and I was like, okay, let me hear that song. That was the second song. So actually, that song led to proposing me, but it was so funny because at the time he was singing, 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 and he asked me in the end, "Oh, do you want to marry me?" And I'm like, "Is this the question?"
Is that real? Uh-huh.
Just a song. And I didn't reply for like 5 minutes or so. And then he was like, yeah, I'm asking you now, but I didn't see the ring. So I was like, I don't know if it's still a
yes.
But at the time, oh my God, the joy in my heart, I cannot like explain with the words because I literally started laughing, crying, everything at once, like burst of emotion everywhere. So yeah, that's one of the moments that I will remember forever, especially that was in the place in Alaska. And
Yes.
I thought I would never come again there, but yeah, I ended up there also the day after, which was like a great surprise for me, is that it happened to be like the god sent our ship to the port where we just got proposed. So the day after, we actually took a picture because we never actually, funny enough, even though we spent like 7 months on the ship, we never actually took a picture with our ship. So I was so sad about that. Yeah. But at the time we got proposed, the day after, as I mentioned, we actually had the opportunity to see our ship again. So we took a picture with the ring, with the ship, with the sea, and yeah, that's one of our favorite pictures, from the ships.
Amazing, amazing. And I think, that picture of you guys isn't that on our Instagram, correct?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
If you want to see this joy-filled picture, check out our Instagram, Finding Joy at Sea, as well, and you can see that special moment. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that story. And for me, finding you as well has been such a joy. Working with you, building this brand together it brings me joy. When I'm having maybe a rough day with other things going on in life, like we all do, knowing I can sit down and work on this project, it's a joy for me. So thank you for being the incredible partner in this project and just the incredible friend that you are. I'm very thankful for you.
Oh my God. Thank you, Laura, as well. I mean, for everything that you're doing, for all of your patience with me, because you know that I was working on a ship, what we mentioned before, you already knew what I'm going to experience. So you knew that I'm not going to have a lot of time, but still you chose me. So thank you again for that. I'm never going to forget that. And I'm so glad that we're, still collaborating, still working on our future projects as well. And also, I mentioned you yesterday, I really had a rough day at work and I was, struggling. And then I took my iPad and I drew just one card and that made my day. Literally. Yes, your favorite card. So I sent you that and you were so happy. And then once I heard your voice message, I was like, yeah, that's it. So I'm so glad that you're still ongoing, still working and doing so many things. And I can't wait, to see it out there.
Yes, to physically see everything come to life. And, we are just a few weeks away from book launch of our first book at time of recording. And we're so excited to have a physical copy in our hands and to be able to release that to the world. I mean, we are there. In addition, we're working on our line of plushies. We're working on our ABCs of C deck of cards. So lots of big things coming in the next several months. And we just can't wait to bring you on the journey with us and introduce you to Joy and all of her friends over the next coming months, weeks, years. This is just really something special. So thank you for your time listening to us today, getting to know Anna a little bit and our partnership. And I can't wait to have you on another podcast. I could have kept talking to you for 4 days. So you're not one and done. Even if you were hoping you were, you're not. We're going to have you again. I think, one of the things we're talking about is these lessons that we've learned along the way. And I know you have this incredible notebook of things that you learned and you can't find it now because you're just unpacking after a move. So I think a future episode would be great to talk about, like your top 10 things you learned working on board.
Definitely. I will look for it again. Yeah, because it's an amazing notebook and it's a so small notebook, but it has like so much wisdom in it because on every port, on every place that I've learned something, yes. I actually wrote it down so I will never, forget all the things that I experienced. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I look forward to that next episode with you then. But everybody, thanks for listening. The next episode is going to be dropping soon. And that's going to be where I'm interviewing Hayden Fraser, my husband, who I met on board as well. So you can get to know his story of finding joy at sea. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for your time. We are sending you a lot of joy from us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Joy at Sea. To find out more about us, our books, and products, please visit us on the web at joyatseaandfriends.com. or on Facebook or Instagram at Finding Joy at Sea. To be featured on an episode, you can find our email in the show notes. Until next time, we hope you have a joyful day.